X-Men Dark Phoenix was a bit of a disaster at the box office and among critics. The film probably wasn't the desired outcome for the conclusion of 19 years of storytelling within the X universe. But over the past few years, that universe was showing signs of growing as it sought to become its own cinematic universe. But the future of the X-Men franchise is to be rebooted under Disney, and as such, many promising films that have been scrapped, some even well before the mouse took over.
X-Force!
So while these movies sound pretty awesome, it sounds like all of these titles won't see the light of day anytime soon. Before we jump into it, check out our channel Behind the Screen, where we make videos about theories and walk the line between informative and completely insane. You'll be delighted either way. Back in 2017, X-Men producer and Dark Phoenix director Simon Kinberg revealed he wanted to bring Alpha Flight to the big screen. Unless you're familiar with the comics, chances are you've never even heard of Alpha Flight though, which is why a movie version would have been totally awesome, as it involves characters that the masses aren't too familiar with. Alpha Flight are a group of Canadian mutants who work for Department H, a division of the Department of National Defense that deals with mutants. They had a successful solo comic run that lasted from 1983 to 1994. But those plans are likely on the back burner for now, thanks to the Disney merger. Perhaps the mouse will one day attempt an Alpha Flight movie, but for now their goal is likely to reboot the X-Men and Fantastic Four and not the more obscure Canadian-centered superhero team. Remember the New Mutants?
Who?
That trailer launched back in October of 2017, and it's been a roller coaster of headlines, reshoots, and uncertainty for the movie ever since it was revealed to the public. Initially, director Josh Boone wanted to make a horror film, and Fox wanted to deliver a PG-13 film that was lighter in tone and would be easily accessible to a wider audience. The two teams eventually settled on a film that was like a cross between The Shining and The Breakfast Club.
Eat my shorts.
Then It came out.
Can smell the circus dirty.
With the crazy success of that movie, the New Mutants trailer was cut in such a way to boost the horror elements. But of course, that wasn't what the movie actually was, so the New Mutants has been in a state of reshoots for the better part of 2 years and is scheduled to release in 2020. But the New Mutants was to be the first film in a new trilogy of films. Thanks to the Disney merger, it looks like those hopes and dreams are now toast when Fox producer Emma Watts called Dark Phoenix the perfect end to the X-Men franchise as they find a new home in the MCU, effectively killing the New Mutants sequels. Back in 2010, when the Marvel Cinematic Universe was still just coming into itself as an actual moneymaker during the infancy of Phase 1, Fox was hard at work trying to make their own crossover event to please the masses. The winning event in their mind was taking their beloved X-Men franchise and crossing them with the Fantastic Four. What could go wrong? On paper, it actually sounds quite ambitious. Not only were the X-Men going to share the screen with the Fantastic Four, but also Daredevil and Deadpool, just for good measure. The proposed crossover event would have been Fox's Civil War and would have been much darker and violent than previous X-Men and Fantastic Four films. The studio instead opted for X-Men First Class and a Fantastic Four reboot, and now that Civil War has passed in the MCU and the Mutants and the Four have joined that universe, we'll likely never see this movie happen. There was a lot of talent trying to bring a Multiple Man movie to life. Back in 2017, Simon Kinberg once again spoke about his plans with the X-Men franchise and actually had James Franco attached to play James Maddox, a mutant with the ability to clone himself. Multiple Man made his comic book debut in giant-sized Fantastic Four #4 in 1975. Not only was Franco attached, but he was going to produce the movie under his Ramona Films outfit, which he runs with his brother Dave. But the film has seemingly fallen off the map since that initial reveal in November 2017. And as recent as September 2018, Kinberg stated that the film was still happening. But with the Disney merger complete and the X-Men films now on hold in order to be rebranded and rebooted, it seems that the original, possibly R-rated version of Multiple Man is dead. It wasn't that long ago that fans were promised a full-fledged X-Force film. Heck, they even made their debut in the ridiculously popular Deadpool 2 film after all.
X-Force! X-Force.
And just like that movie, co-writer Rhett Reese confirmed that the X-Force solo film would be very R-rated, which if you're making your debut in a Deadpool film, we'd like to imagine that any subsequent spin-off material from that source would also be R-rated. Then the whole Disney thing happened. The status of Deadpool alone has been very ambiguous and up in the air. Is it happening? Will it be R-rated? There's conflicting information out there about the Merc with the Mouth, with some outlets saying Deadpool 3 will happen under Disney in an R-rated fashion, while others say the Mouse House is uncertain how to treat him when the company continuously states that they'll retain their family-friendly branding. But while his future is hazy, it seems the R-rated X-Force film that was promised to us is likely dead, as all Fox projects were postponed in January 2019, with no updates as of summer 2019 despite the merger being signed and sealed. Daniel Richtman once again tweeted about his uncertainty about X-Force moving forward, and Deadpool creator Rob Liefeld himself responded, telling fans to pour a drink to another casualty of Disney's acquisition, all but confirming the project is dead. X-Men Origins Wolverine was the first film in what was planned to be a series of origin films. The follow-up to Logan's backstory was to be Origins Magneto, and that film was actually pitched all the way back in 2004. First-class scribe Sheldon Turner was brought on board to bring Magneto's early years to life, which was to be set between the years 1939 and 1955. It dealt largely with his time in Auschwitz and how he spent his life once he was freed from the prison camp. Then in April 2007, David S. Goyer was brought on to direct the movie, with McKellen confirmed to return using the de-aging technology used in The Last Stand. Then in 2009, McKellen actually dropped out of the picture, citing he was now too old for the role despite the advancements in CGI at the time. From there, the whole movie got absorbed and condensed into the intro and subplot of X-Men First Class, meaning we'll never see the solo Magneto film that was originally pitched. While working on X-Men Apocalypse, Byron Burton, the assistant to director John Ottman at the time, pitched a movie that would see Beast become the primary character in an X-Men film.
Who's the furball?
Ottman, while not convinced it was possible, allowed Burton to come up with a script just to try it out, and he actually produced a draft script as proof of concept in 2 weeks. From there, the planning of the movie actually took off and was envisioned to be a $90 million production, and was to be set in the 80s and would be similar to John Carpenter's The Thing, complete with snowy setting. The film would have seen Beast team up with Logan for a showdown against Mr. Sinister, who was the mysterious architect of the movie's plot and would begin a new superhero arc. The story would eventually lead into an Omega Red film. Simon Kinberg, however, politely refused to read the script as he didn't want it to influence what he was doing with the Dark Phoenix at the time. Knowing their film was probably dead due to the Disney merger and the word that the X-Men films were on hold, Ottman and Burton posted the draft online for free for your enjoyment. While Apocalypse served as the end of a trilogy, the idea of there being more films after Apocalypse was being floated around, which ultimately led to the 4th film in the X-Men prequel timeline. Simon Kinberg, who wrote Apocalypse and made his directorial debut with Dark Phoenix, told a Hollywood Reporter that Apocalypse served as both a conclusion and origin film of sorts, and said that he'd love to continue to make movies beyond Apocalypse with a new cast. So Kinberg was already thinking about a possible new franchise, which was to start with Dark Phoenix and likely continue on, possibly even making 2 trilogies in the prequel era of X-Men films that would likely continue on into the early 2000s. However, in April 2019, the Disney merger would say otherwise, and resulted in Fox and X-Men producer Emma Watts stating that Dark Phoenix was the perfect send-off for our epic X-Men series. Logan is considered by many to be the best film in Fox's entire X-Men catalog. While Wolverine may have died at the end, his clone daughter Laura carried on by the film's end to embark on her own adventures. Fans and critics loved Daphne Keene's debut performance as X-23, so much so that a spin-off film was said to be in the works right after Logan's release, with Mangold confirming that a script was in development. But that was in 2017, and we've yet to hear anything about the film, and Mangold has gone on to work on Ford vs. Ferrari, while Daphne Keene has set her time and energy on the TV show His Dark Materials. With the Disney merger, we think this one is unfortunately lost to us, as they'll likely be rebooting the X-Men franchise from the ground up, not continuing story threads from the Fox timeline. There were talks of a Gambit movie ever since X-Men Origins Wolverine happened.
Because I know who you are, Gambit.
Taylor Kitsch may have been involved with the character in that misguided origin film, which saw the script being rewritten during production, but the studio wanted Channing Tatum to get on board to bring the smooth-talking card player to life. The film went through a series of directors, including Gore Verbinski, Doug Liman, and Rupert Wyatt, which is never a good sign, and because of this, the film never actually got far into pre-production. Despite this, the film was still on track for a March 13th, 2020 release date, and was even represented at San Diego Comic-Con in 2015 as Tatum promoted the movie on stage. However, that all changed in May 2019 when Disney officially removed the film from their roster, effectively scrapping the troubled production. Here's hoping that one day fans can get a Gambit movie, but as for one with Channing Tatum, it looks like that will never happen. Have you ever wondered why Thanos never used the Infinity Gauntlet to become best friends with Tom Hanks? Or why Peter Parker never stuck with his flourishing career as a YouTube vlogger? Check out our channel Behind the Screen, where we answer all the film-related questions no one ever asked. So there's a decent amount of content gone by the wayside for the X-Men universe. Do you think any of these films will be picked up one day under Disney, or are those particular iterations of the stories gone by the wayside? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this in your playlist every day. Thanks for watching.